Hey, what's going on? Johnny the Gamer here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at 5 hidden gem games, or at least what I consider hidden gems, for the PSP console. And if you're new to this channel, I do a lot of PSP videos. I do collecting for it, collect the games, and do like gameplay and reviews and stuff like that. So make sure you subscribe if you enjoy the console, and let's go ahead and get started. Loco Roco is a game developed by Sony Interactive Entertainment. It is a side-scrolling trigger button mashing extravaganza. Okay, not really. I just made that up. I don't know what to call this genre. The plot consists of all the Loco Rocos, which are these little blob creatures, getting invaded by the Mohas, who are trying to take over the Loco Roco's planet after a meteor crashes into the universe. That's about it. But that's okay. You don't need a very deep story in a side-scrolling game. Let's go ahead and move on to the gameplay. It reminds me of being in a jump house as a child at some kid's birthday party, minus the smell of feet and cotton candy, and being crushed in a giant dog pile of children gasping for air and wishing the heinous odor would dissipate. True stories aside though, the world is so squishy. You play as a little yellow Loco Roco, which is a little anthropomorphic blob. As you go through the world, you'll encounter plants that have a big flowering fruit thing that you eat, thus gaining you one Loco Roco that will be absorbed by the first Loco Roco you started as. You want to keep as many of them as possible. If you get hit by enemies, you will lose them and start to shrink in size. This game has a decent amount of collectibles to collect. One of those, they're called Mui Mui. They're these little dudes that you find hidden in each level. I believe there's 3 per level if I'm not mistaken. I like the secret invisible walls you find in the game. They remind me a lot of playing Yoshi's Island, where the walls, you know, they disappear. They're like little hidden wall. I'll show you on the screen. You'll see it. They're just really satisfying to discover, and there's a lot of them in this game. Also, the walls that you can crack and break through to find more berry things to eat are also very satisfying. This game is really easy to get into very quickly. Considering the only buttons you use essentially are the L and R trigger buttons, it's pretty addicting and fun. Untold Legends is also a game developed by Sony Online Entertainment, and it is a third-person action role-playing game. You could probably also call this a dungeon crawler. The game starts off explaining that you, the Guardian, have emerged from a tournament after achieving victory. You discover that the town is being invaded by giant spiders. Oh my. The Guardian, which is who you play as, discovers that the ruler of the lands, Kaylee, and the overseer, Lisetta, have been corrupted from the dark disease. What disease, do you ask? It's the dark disease, okay? Don't ask questions. So the Guardian is left trying to defeat the forces that have committed these heinous acts. You can create your own character, which is cool. The Guardian levels up after encountering enemies and destroying them. Wow, what a new concept. I do really like that you can gain points to spend on different attributes, such as damage with melee weapons, how much weight you can carry in terms of the items collected throughout playing, similar to Skyrim, health increases, and so on and so forth. This game also has a skill tree, which is impressive in my opinion. It adds some depth to the gameplay, and you can also assign your newly learned skills to a quick select wheel that you can bring up with the D-pad whilst in combat. And I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't show you the tumbleweed summon that acts as a decoy and besmirches and disorients enemies with its weirdness. I might be biased because this was the first game I received as a birthday gift along with the PSP console itself. The AI can sometimes be easy to trick, however. If you're getting rushed, you can essentially run out of the room and they won't pass the invisible barrier, allowing you to easily get away and wait for your health to regenerate. But I do think this game is worth checking out if you're into the genre. Patapon is a game that was developed by Pyramid, and it was published by Sony Computer Entertainment, and the genre is a rhythm/god game/real-time strategy game. The Patapons are a tribe of warriors that fight alongside of the beating drums that their god, the Almighty, is beating, leading them through battle against the Zygoton, evil creatures that drove them from their home. The game leads the Patapon warriors through colorful forests and different settings in search of finding it, which they desire to look upon to find contentment. Patapon is a very simple rhythm game. You start off with one pattern of button pressing to the beat to move your Patapon forward. The world is 2D and side-scrolling, and you will encounter enemies and animals that you hunt by learning new abilities with different button pressing patterns. The real-time strategy comes in because you have to decide between button patterns to command your followers what to do next in real time while the drums keep on beating. It can be pretty satisfying to gain new weapons and warriors, and apparently the Patapon can evolve into more powerful creatures. I haven't played that far into it yet, but I'm looking forward to getting there. There's a hub that you always default to where you can see your Patapon followers hanging out and talking about finding eternal bliss. Also, you can birth more Patapons out of a giant tree if you give it 2 items you find during playthroughs of the levels. This game is just a fun, simple, but challenging rhythm game that is perfect for if you enjoy music. This game kind of reminds me of Pocket God for the iPhone, if you remember, way back in the day. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm old, I don't even know if that game still exists. This is the type of game that is easy to get into. I could see myself playing this on the go because you can really jump in and play a few levels and jump out. There's definitely something fun about playing a game where you play as a god and all these little creatures follow your every order. LEGO Indiana Jones The Original Adventures is a game developed by Traveler's Tales and TT Fusion, and it was published by LucasArts. It's an action-adventure slash collect-a-thon game. The story is divided into 6 chapters from each movie. I have yet to beat this game, but it seems like based on that fact, there is a lot of content in the game. You play as Indiana Jones, and there are 82 other playable characters that you can switch to on the fly. That's a lot of characters. Barnett College is the game's main hub from The Last Crusade, also known as Marshall College in the prequels. This is where you can unlock things in the game and where you select the level you would like to play. The game definitely has an immersive nature. As a new player, I found myself struggling to figure out some of the puzzles, but after persisting, I eventually solved some of them and it was more satisfying than I thought it would be. I would say this game has a great balance between action and slower puzzle sections, and even exploration to find out how to collect more coins and other collectibles. One thing I always enjoy when playing a LEGO game that's based on a movie is the music, and this game is no exception. The music is so spot on to the movie. It's an instant nostalgia trip from the get-go. Admittedly, I am very new to the LEGO games in general, and I feel like I've done myself a disservice because every time I try one out, I have a lot of fun. I do have a memory of playing a Star Wars LEGO game at a Toys R Us when I was a kid and having a good time. This game was pretty well received from what I researched, and it might be more of a hidden gem to me personally, because I've overlooked LEGO games in general for years. If you have the same idea that I had about them, then this might be a hidden gem for you, so go check it out. Deadhead Fred is a game that was developed by Vicious Cycle Software, and it was published by D3 Publisher Incorporated. It is a third-person action-adventure game. You play as a private detective named Fred. Fred learns at the start of the game that he's been murdered and subsequently resurrected. Fred gains consciousness in the castle of Dr. Frederick Steiner. Fred's head has been replaced by a brain in a jar and a couple of eyeballs. Fred leaves Castle Steiner and comes across a hunchback who acts as a head merchant who will help him swap heads that you find in the game to give you different abilities. As you explore the city of Hope Falls, you will acquire more heads which not only grant different abilities, such as the corpse head, which allows you to suck up water, gasoline, and even blood, among other materials. This game is gruesome. You can collect money and special items by defeating enemies and completing different side missions. You can also use the heads in combat depending on which head you use. You can gain rage points, which are gained by ripping off the head of your enemies. Rage energy builds up and can be used to unleash a more powerful attack on multiple foes. There are 9 different usable heads in this game. One of my favorites is the shrunken head, which allows you to shrink down to a tiny size to fit into smaller areas, which are usually fun little platforming areas. This would be a really awesome game to bust out near Halloween. This game also has phenomenal voice acting, and the main character Fred is even voiced by Dr. Cox from Scrubs. John C. McGinley is his real name, and there are also other well-known actors who did voice acting for this game. There is so much more to say about this game, and I'm really thinking I might do a full in-depth review to cover more of it. So make sure you subscribe for that in the future.